In the deepest caves of the Underdark, something waits, perfectly disguised as the darkness itself. You see that shadow on the cave ceiling? It's not a shadow, and it's already decided that you are food. Alright class, let's get settled in. Open your manuals to page 41. Today, we're studying a predator that doesn't hunt in the open, because it doesn't need to. Today, we're looking at the cloaker. Cloakers are clever stalkers that dwell underground, and when I say clever, I do actually mean it. On top of that, they're masters of disguise and ambush specialists. Hopefully by the end of this lesson, you'll understand why the more seasoned adventurers always look up when they're in the Underdark. Cloakers are 100-pound flying aberrations with a wingspan of up to 8 feet. Honestly, they're quite a bit larger than I expected when I began researching them. And the reason they've been given this name is, at a glance, they're indistinguishable from a large cloak hanging dormant on a rack. In fact, this is entirely intentional. They want you to think they're nothing of note. They even appear to have buttons in the form of spots running down their backs. And that moment of assumed safety is exactly what they require for their hunting methods. The piercing red eyes, as well as their mouths, reside in what would be considered the cowl area of the cloak. Their backs are pitch black to assist with camouflage, which is imperative considering where they reside. And while in flight, they tend to resemble manta rays. If you've ever seen the way they spread their wings and glide through the water, you'll know exactly what I mean. On top of all this, their tails are long, bony, and whip-like, which just adds to the comparison. All of this adds up to a creature that can fairly successfully drape itself across cavern ceilings and vanish, waiting for any potential victims to approach them. Because the cloaker doesn't chase its prey, it lets its prey come to it. For example, imagine your party is exploring some corner of the Underdark. It's been a long trek, and it's almost time to lay down and recoup your energy. You see what appears to be a safe tunnel nearby. Well, it's the Underdark, no place is truly safe, but you know what I mean. But your party has never encountered a cloaker. They're not quite sure what to look for, as all the shadows look mostly the same. Your rogue thinks he sees something in the corner, he hesitates, looks again, and decides it's nothing, just another shadow on the ceiling. But the cloaker is there, observing silently. You unroll your bedding and lay it out on the ground, but can't light a fire, not here. That would be a signal to every creature in the area that there's potential prey nearby. And God's forbid you bring the Underdark's whole ecosystem down on you. You're in an offshoot of a tunnel with only one entrance, so you start by assigning one of your group to guard the entrance at all times of the night, and lay down to rest. Then, the cloaker, seeing that the time to strike has come, intelligently picks out one of your party, ideally the one who can see in the dark, or can create some form of light. Suddenly, it drops down, faster than any of you can react, especially since none of you are expecting an attack from this angle. The cloaker wraps its 8-foot wingspan entirely around its victim, which instantly blinds them and begins cutting off their air supply. And before you know it, one of your own is down. And before you even truly come to your senses, it's already begun wrapping itself around your neck. Now you're truly in a fight for your life. What can you expect? The first thing to look out for is an ability called the Cloaker's Moan. Sages say that though this creature is surprisingly intelligent, their thoughts are alien to other life forms. They communicate with one another through these subsonic moans that are inaudible to most other creatures. They're capable of increasing the intensity, which causes them to become audible to you and I, and evokes feelings of doom and dread, the kind that freezes you where you stand. The second mechanism you'll encounter are the Cloaker's phantasms. While you're fighting them as a form of defense, the Cloaker will create these illusory duplicates of itself, causing one to be unsure as to where precisely to strike. It's incredibly common to swing your sword at a Cloaker and hit nothing but air, If you know the spell Mirror Image, you understand the problem. However, these illusions can be dispelled, but not through any casting of a dispel magic, oh no. Since the Cloaker resides entirely within the dark, what you need is a source of bright light. And it does need to be bright light, so keep that in mind. In fact, this can be one of the most effective ways to engage a Cloaker. If one has a source of light, a torch or what have you, there's a good chance they might not even engage you, because they're at quite a disadvantage when they're outside of the shadows. And again, never forget that the Cloaker is an intelligent creature. It's not some bumbling thing that you can easily outsmart. It thinks tactically. This creature doesn't just ambush, it quite literally chooses its moment. Educational observations of Cloakers are few and far between, and as a result we know very little about who they are and where they came from. They're believed to have originated in the plane of shadow, which is a parallel plane of existence that exists as a sort of counterpart to the Feywild. However, unlike the Feywild, the plane of shadow is a bleak and desolate place, full of decay and death. What their motivations for leaving that place were are unknown, but they currently reside deep underground in places like the Underdark, as mentioned before. Now, they generally live solitary lives, but they've also been observed living in mobs or flocks that are led by other creatures aptly named the Cloaker Lord. It's even believed that they may have once built and inhabited their own underground settlements, such as the appropriately named Cloaker Haven, and I think this really speaks to their level of intelligence once again. However, whatever the truth is, whether or not they're native to the Underdark or something far older and far more obscure, is still a matter of debate in educational circles. So, what can one do to maximize your survival against these aberrations? I'd say rule number 1 would be, while in the Underdark, never trust a still ceiling. Truthfully, you shouldn't trust almost anything while you're down there. It's known as one of the most deadly areas in the world for a reason. Rule number 2, I'd say bring some form of bright light with you. Now this can be tricky because, again, you don't want to alert all the creatures to your presence, but perhaps bring a source of light that you can ignite quickly. And my third rule would be to, if possible, assign more than one guard at a time. That way, if they do get caught off guard, then there's another person there to manage the emergency. Because as you now know, the Cloaker will engulf their prey, and if they attach themselves to your one and only guard, you may never wake up. And there you have it, the Cloaker. Hopefully, you've all learned something about this uncommon Underdark predator, and as a result know how to deal with them, should you ever come into contact with one. These creatures are no joke, especially when engaged in their preferred habitat. So the next time you're out there traveling in the darkest places of our world, don't just look forward, look up. Thanks for listening. Okay guys, that's the end of this entry. Hopefully you enjoyed it, I know I did. Make sure you hit that button to like the video, and I'll see you for the next one. So be safe, take care, and happy trails.